Oi pessoal, tudo bem? Eu sou Henrique Sampaio e eu tô aqui com o Chris Remo, aqui no Big, em São Paulo. O Chris Remo, ele é compositor, ele é designer, ele é escritor da Campo Santo, o estúdio que fez Firewatch e tá fazendo agora in the Valley of Gods. Eu vou conversar um pouquinho com ele. Hi Chris, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
I have some questions about the Valley of Gods. Tell me a little about this game.
Yeah. So this is a game set in Egypt in the 1920s. It stars two women who, in the past, made documentary films together, but they had a falling out. They, split up, and then now in the game, they're back together for one more movie because there's a huge, big, important archaeological find in Egypt. Then they want to be the ones to get it on film, and when they get there, things are not quite what they expected. And they end up embroiled in an unexpected adventure.
And what themes do you wish to cover in this game?
We definitely want feelings of adventure and exploration. We really want to explore the relationship between these two women, what their friendship means, and like what happens to a friendship when it goes through problems, and we made Firewatch, and Firewatch was a game that was very story driven, and also about a relationship, was very suspenseful, but also kind of sad in some ways. And we thought it would be fun to make a game that was like more of an adventure story, and sort of something that's like a kind of an epic adventure of these people in this incredible environment. So that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish.
So in terms of gameplay, it will be more action-based or not?
No, it's definitely not an action game. I mean, the story we're hoping is sort of like adventurous and exciting, but the gameplay, a lot of if you liked Firewatch, a lot of what was going on there in terms of exploring a world, having a lot of conversation, but also in the Valley of Gods, we have a new gameplay element. We actually have a few new gameplay elements, one of which is that you are actually going to be filming in the game. So you're actually filming this movie. So you are, filming the things that you think are exciting or interesting or beautiful, and then you'll get to, make your movie in the game. We also have your companion character, who is a real, person who's there in the world with you. Whereas in Firewatch, the other character was just on the radio. And in the Valley of Gods, she's there with you in person, and so that is going to definitely bring a new feeling to the game.
Yeah. And would you consider Firewatch as a walking simulator, and what do you think about this term?
We didn't really think about it either way. When we started making the game, we had specific goals we wanted to achieve with the game in terms of the story and the characters and the world, and we didn't really necessarily care what genre people put it into. I've worked on other games that people call walking simulators. I did the music for a game called Gone Home, one called 30 Flights of Loving, and both of those I think are often called walking simulators. So I don't personally mind. It doesn't bother me. But with Firewatch, we just had the goals that we had for the game and didn't really worry too much about the genre.
There's around 12 people working on Campo Santo right now, right?
Yep. At Valve now.
At Valve, yeah. And do you think it's essential being small to create this kind of experience you are trying to achieve with Firewatch and now with this in the Valley of Gods?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it was important for us to keep the team pretty small because we really felt like, we knew what we were trying to do. We all kind of agreed amongst ourselves what the game was going to be, and we really, on Firewatch, we really built that game as we were going along. One of the things I talked about in my session yesterday was, we definitely had the big goals for the game set out when we started making it, but a lot of the specific design solutions. You know, we didn't figure those out until we were already making the game. And I think if it was a really big team, it might have been difficult to kind of solve those problems in real time. You know, the more people are involved, you know, the harder it can be to make those decisions quickly and efficiently. So I think for us, you know, obviously there are other teams doing all kinds of things with all different sizes, and that's totally great. But, you know, for us, I think it really helped us to have that small concentrated team where we were all on the same page.
And you are a very multifaceted game developer, we can say. You work as a composer, as a writer, as a game designer. Do you ever feel overwhelmed?
Yeah, I definitely on Firewatch got a little overwhelmed. One of the things you didn't mention there was also on Firewatch, I was the sound designer, which I'd never done that before. So I was learning how to do it while we were making the game. And I think on our next game, I'm not going to do that part.
Whoa, I found a turtle. Maybe it's a tortoise. It's a thing with a shell.
Well, isn't that something?
It's actually pretty cute.
Well, Henry, if you decide you want it to keep you company, nobody will mind.
Now, what do I call it? Looks like a,
Oh, this ought to be good.
Turt Reynolds.
Well, now I can't wait to see him.
As both game designer and composer, I, you know, most of my time was spent on the game design, but when I was doing the music for the game, I was able to understand the game's needs for music in a way that I think if I was not a designer, I don't think I would have understood what the game needed musically in the same way. And also because I was a designer on the game, I was able to write the system that actually implemented played the music in the game. The music, in some cases, is actually interactive. So the music will play at different times for different players, depending on their path through the game and, you know, where they are at a given moment and when they had a most recent conversation and all these different factors. And I was able to implement the music that way because I was also working on the game design. And so I think it's really helpful to understand, even if you're not working on all the different parts of the game, to sort of understand a little bit how they work so that you can bring that knowledge into your own field and your own role.
You were also a game journalist in the past, right? From your years as a journalist, is there something that you learned as a developer right now that back then would have changed the way you talk about games?
That's a really interesting question. I've never thought about this before. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of things. I've now been a game developer for about 10 years, so I have to like think back, you know, to what I was like back then. But I mean, man, I really want to like think about this and try and give you a good answer here. But
you can answer me later.
Yeah. Let me see if I can think of anything. I mean, a thing that is, I think, really important is to try and understand all of the different roles that go into making a game, and not just, you know, the person whose name is at the top and the sort of public. You know, it's important to understand all the different parts that go into making games and find out who those people are and you know, talk to them. I think that's something that is really important in terms of covering games and writing about games and educating the public about them. I think that's very important.
When writing a game, what comes first, the story, or do you think first in the gameplay and then the how the story will go on?
It's difficult to go into a game and just say, okay, the gameplay could be anything. Who knows? Let's just write the story and then the gameplay will be whatever it is. You can't really do that. So in the past, the games that I've written, I knew what the gameplay was going to be, so I was able to sort of think about the writing in the context of what the gameplay actually needed. You know, because I mean, I think that the game design is so important, and the writing is not more important than the game design. They're equally important, and they have to work really well together. So you can't just like write a whole bunch of stuff and then give it to the game team and say, great, here, make the game. They have to be really, really in cooperation with each other.
Oh, please. Not another chivalrous knight trying to win my love through misguided feats of bravery or bribery. I really need to talk to my father about this. Okay, let's get it over with. Go prove your bravery by returning with the gold the dragon is guarding. Do that, and I'll give you my amulet as a token of my love. Blah, blah, blah. That is what you want to hear, right? Dragon, gold, amulet, in that order. Men. I just want to be an electrical engineer.
Does being part of Valve open a possibility to Campo Santo to work with Valve's IPs?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're still the same team we were before, but definitely going in the future when the game is farther along, if we need, let's say we need another animator or we need another modeler, now we're in an environment where there's like incredible animators and incredible modelers everywhere, all in the same building. So I think in the future, it'll be really helpful for us to be able to just walk down the hall and, talk to someone and say, hey, do you have, a couple months to help us out with some stuff on this game? And hopefully people there are, excited about the game we're making.
But do you think it will be possible for you to work with, Portal or Half-Life someday, or it's really not your of the interest of Campo Santo?
I don't know. That never even came up. We never talked about it. I don't know. Who knows?
Would you like?
I mean, I think it'd be really fun to work on a Half-Life game, or a Portal game for that matter. I mean, Portal. When Portal came out in 2007, that was I think one of the most incredible single-player games ever made, ever. And I felt the same way about Half-Life 1. I remember when Half-Life 1 came out in, 1998? I was 14, I guess, at the time. And I remember just thinking, what is this? This is great. I remember thinking it was so different to other games like that at the time, and it's just so amazing. And there's still people inside of Valve from that era. There's still people at that studio who worked on those games back then, which is it's incredible to be able to meet those people. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it'd be really fun to work on a game like Half-Life or Portal someday. But yeah, right now we're just definitely just focusing on In the Valley of Gods.
Now I would like to ask you something about Twin Peaks, because I know that you love Twin Peaks. Yeah. What do you think about the return, the last season?
Man, I thought it was a really strange, really interesting, piece of television. I thought that there were elements of it that were very challenging and very difficult, but I mean, and that can be good and bad. But there were parts of that season that were so mind-blowing and so amazing. I was just really happy it existed, I mean, it wasn't perfect in every way, but it was, nobody is doing anything else like that on television, and you have to, why would you not want something so original and different on TV? I mean, even just, I know everyone talks about this episode all the time, so you probably already know what episode I'm going to talk about. Yeah. But the episode 8, was it, with the explosion and the flashbacks and everything? I mean, just I've never seen anything like that before. It was incredible. So I really, really had a great time watching it and recording our podcasts about it. And, what can you say? I just thought it was something really unique.
Okay. And do you think there's something that developers could learn from Twin Peaks and David Lynch?
Yeah, I think so. I think being willing to go outside of obvious genres, and I think one of the things that's so interesting about David Lynch as a director is that he operates on a very intuitive level. He clearly makes what's in his head, and I think there is a logic to it, but it's not a traditional logic. It's his own internal logic. And I think that in games are all virtual. They're all, you don't need to film reality to make a game. It's all completely invented. So there's no real limit to the amount of imagination you can put into a game. And I think we don't need to be limited by our traditional understandings of specific genres and specific settings and specific stories and specific gameplay mechanics. We really can do anything. I think, creators like David Lynch are a good reminder of that.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.